Welcome everybody. Sorry that I'm late. Um, I'll admit it, late because of haircut. I was trying to, look fresh and everything, but that's my fault. Should have done it earlier. That's my fault. But I'm looking spiffy right now. So let me say hi to people before I get started. Ricardo, thanks for coming. Ricardo, I'm Puerto Rican. She know better. Elliot, my brother, thanks for coming in. Okay, let me go down the line. Bear with me. I think I missed somebody coming. Shark fin. Sad face, but it's fine. Barry Johnson. I thought you were stream were late. Yeah, I will listen for a while. Okay, that's fine. There's no worries with that. And you can listen to it. Oh, my camera is not really straight. Try to sit up more. Yeah, I didn't have time to set up like that. Thought I was gonna get my haircut on time. Visual Educated, thanks for coming in. Everybody, bear with me, give me a second. I did not want to cough, or something come out in front of everybody, but that's it. Oh, Elvira, thanks for coming in. So enough of the chit chat, let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome. This is Tech for Your Needs, and today we're going to talk about the iPhone event. So therefore, I'm going to talk about a few stuff and stuff like that. Give me a second. Bear with me. Got to look at my notes quickly. So yeah, so over here. Yes, thanks everybody for coming in. Any questions, let me know. My apology for looking at my phone. I'm back. Thanks everybody walking with me, being patient. Give me a second. I'm just gonna trying to see if I can gather more information, bro. So let's see if I can find something over here. Because I'm trying to look at something that I wrote. If not, I'm gonna continue and forget about it. But okay. Give me a second, folks. Thanks for being patient. See if I can find what I want. Okay, right here. I found what I want. There's gonna be four models, and the pros are not gonna have the notch. The Pro and the Pro Max is gonna have like exclamation point, but this way. And the other ones regular gonna have the notch. We're also gonna have a Pro Max. They're gonna be big, and it's gonna be like I think it's 6.7 inches. I'm not sure, but the thing is those. I'm gonna show you right here. Let me make sure that the brightness is low enough so y'all can see it. These are the four models. There you go. And those are the models. The two of them, because they omitted the mini. The mini is not come. But this is a rumors. Take it with a grain of salt because the event is still not out. This is what the leakers and rumors are saying. There's going to be four phones. For sure, we're going to have the Pro and the Pro Max. That's guaranteed. And the regular iPhone that we have. I don't know about the Pro, the 14 Pro is called. The bigger one in the back. I don't know about that one. So therefore, you could take that with a grain of salt. So, yeah. So those are the phones that are thing in the Apple Watch, and what else is gonna be and stuff like that. So let me go over here. Um, pill shape. Yeah, it's the pill shape punch on hole. And yes, it's 6.7 inches. Thank you for that. I had all my notes, but I don't know, they got deleted. I did research yesterday. I have everything lined up, but I don't know what happened with Google Keep. I'm gonna continue and stuff like that. So let me put this word quickly. And I don't know if it went through. Let me make sure. If you like it, let me preface this. If you like it to get invited, put the word invited. And the only thing that I expect that I know you for a long time and you walk with me, you network with me, I want to make sure that I know you before I invite you, stuff like that. So it's the Pro Max, and the 14 Max, and the 14. Correct. Thank you for clarifying that. And yep, that's correctly. And those are what's coming. Those are rumors, and most likely, I'll bank on 95% that it's gonna come, because even the big leakers are saying it. Mark Gurman and his reputation is more than 80% and above. So now, Michael Pepper, if you want to get invited, let me know. T-Mobile Satellite Connect support and iPhone exclusive support for the Star. So yeah, let me know, brother, if you want to get invited. Let me grab some water. This is just regular water. This regular Poland Spring water, not sponsored by this. Just put it right here. I'm gonna send the link, and if you want to come, it's fine. If you don't, you don't. So give me a second while I keep trying to find the link. If I could find it. Okay. Okay. Give me a second, folks, while I'll send the link to Michael Pepper. If you want to come in, you can come in. So bear with me. Let me go over here. Link have been sent. So I'm back. Let me make sure the link have been sent correctly. Yes, if you want to come in, you're welcome. Let me continue. So yeah, those are the phones that is coming in, and let me read. Oh, okay. I read the satellite. So let me go back up. Hey, LaShawn, one of these days I gotta get you in my live stream. You know, I know you're not a shy boy, so come one of these days when you're ready, you got you set up like that and everything. Um, yeah, the rumors is AK. AK, thank you for helping me out, Ricardo. Much appreciated. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard, quote me or correct me, Ricardo, because you the most given information about the megapixel is supposed to be 48. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I heard. The AK and the AKA. I was going to talk about that. So you mentioned it. So I just want to make sure. So yeah, so those models are intriguing. I gotta make an exchange to this phone. And I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. I don't know what happened. It's brand new. I don't treat it bad. Everything is up to par. I just don't get it. What happened? But I'll explain to you in a minute. Let me see if I can take it off the case slowly. I don't want to do a drop test. And look, brand new, brand new, brand new phone. Nothing. Everything worked 100%. Right here, the speaker. When I talk to people, I cannot hear those people. So either I gotta have it in speaker, or I gotta have it on actual Bluetooth or whatever. But also, I told you one thing. I'm gonna exchange it because it's cheaper. Like I say, I keep repeating for the millionth time before the year's over. All my money is going to a Mac computer. That most likely, I'll say 95% to a Mac Mini, and that's it. If I could get another one, I get another one. I'm fine. I'm not gonna worry about all that. Money is going to a computer because that's when I can make more money, and then later on I could just buy me another phone. Probably get the 13 Pro Max or something's cheaper. I don't have to get the 14. So I don't know what happened. That just happened, a month ago. on a half or however long it's been this problem. But I digress. Yeah, you might get your witches lechon, but I don't think it's gonna happen because if I could change this for like minuscule, 30, $40, hell yeah, I'm changing it. They allow me, I'm going for it. So let me read what Ricardo said. Yes, 48. I have that one Pro Max, and I can't wait until the 14 drops. Yeah, I know I haven't get a phone for a while, but I've been saving money and investing in equipment and stuff like that. You know, Cash phrase for a better tomorrow. Think as an adult. Don't think phone, phone, phone. I'm not monetized. I'm not standing going like everybody else. I'm not telling you how to run your channel and the red. Hell no. I'm almost getting there to the 1K. I will get there and time do, but I don't want to talk about finances. I already spoke enough with that. So let me change something quick. Oh, there's my Cash App. If you want to donate for the cost, I'll leave it there. Leave it there for a minute. Let me go to text and change it because I don't want people to think that I was talking just because I want to get money. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I'm about. If you help, you help. I appreciate it, but that's not the point. So let me get back to the chat. So yeah, so getting back to the subject, the mini will just continue. I guess I don't know. I feel like the camera. I'm not too tall enough. There you go. I feel the mini will just continue, and the reason for sale, and and the thing that the mini, it was the battery life. To be honest, the battery life, it was the Achilles of Achilles and all that, and that was the thing that was messing up. Actually, the thing. So if you want to get invited, put the word invite. If you rock with me for a while and I know you, I'll invite you. I want to make sure, just make those rules clear and with that said and everything. So yeah, getting back to the subject and looking fresh. I digress. How to say that. That's why I was a little late. But anyways, yeah, getting back to the subject, that's what's going on. So let me introduce my guest. Thanks for coming in, for saving me. And the grace, the grace, the grace. I appreciate it. I'm gonna invite you right now. And let me change this.
Howdy.
Cool. How you doing, my brother?
Good. I'd be at my normal setup, but my son's still up, so.
Oh, it's fine. You gotta do what you gotta do. At least you're here. At least you give me company. I don't have to ramble, you know. Which I'm not packed to rambles, but you get my point. Thought I said a joke. Yeah. So what you think about the phones that's coming out and the Apple Watch? Because I'll let you talk about the phones and then we could go to the Apple Watch. So take it away.
So, T-Mobile announced officially today that they're adding Apple TV Plus for any of their customers that have, like, the Magenta Max plan, their top plan, for free. I imagine later on they probably have, like, a discounted version of it for the lower plans, kind of like they do with Netflix, where, like, if you have the top plan, you get it for free. Um, But one of the other things that makes me think of is because they also announced a couple of days ago the whole Starlight or Starlink support T-Mobile did, working with Starlink to bring initially it will just be for text and like MMS support, and then data would be brought on later. That um, Apple is going to officially announce like a satellite backup kind of support for the new iPhones. They were supposed to do it it was rumored last year. Um, but I think now that there's enough satellites up there and government approval, and it's been proved that it works right, like the whole thing with the Ukraine where they they sent over devices to help people, and they were able to link up and use Starlink for free. I think that's the T-Mobile struck a deal with Apple, and part of it was Apple TV Plus, and part of it's bringing official support for that kind of new method for satellite linking, because it's not like a typical satellite phone where it's going to kill your battery like in a couple minutes.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's true.
it's using frequencies that are being sent that it can link to sort of like a normal phone. Now, it doesn't mean that like, oh, every phone is going to support it. So that's why I said like primarily going to be the new iPhones. And I don't know if the iPhone 13 has the technology in it. There was discussion that it did and that they didn't activate it, and that that's something that will be turned on later. I remember that last year, but it could have also been scrapped last
Yeah,
minute from,
Michael Pepper. Something is just popping in the mic. Sorry to interrupt you. My apology. I thought it was my fan, but it's you. It's like a it's go like interruption. Are you near a fan or is I don't know? It keep coming up.
that's
I
weird.
thought it was me. I shut my fan twice and it's not me. It can still doing it.
Um, Let me see something.
Let's see if it's doing now when I turn my fan on.
Is
Keep
this
talking.
better?
Oh yes, I don't hear it.
I had echo cancellation on.
Oh, that's why. Okay, you're fine. You're back to normal. Continue.
I never know if I need to have it on or not because when I'm using earbuds, sometimes having it on helps, sometimes having it off helps. So,
Oh, true.
um, I don't know. I think I don't know what they're gonna do necessarily to, entice people in. I feel like so they don't really need to do too much different because I feel like you're gonna have the people that like they held off on the 12 because it was the first iPhone with 5G and they wanted to see, and then when they found out like battery life wasn't the best and some things like that, then the 13 came out and battery life was better, and you had some people that upgraded to that, but then you had other people that had like the 11 and were holding off for another year or so, and those will be the people that will be upgrading this year, and they don't really have to change too much. I think the larger sensor size and resolution, I don't think that that's necessarily for 8K video. I think it's for the ability to be able to offer 4K 60 HDR because right now it's limited to 4K 30. Um,
Correct.
and same thing with like 1080p HDR, being able to have a higher refresh rate because the newer processor can handle it, but also having a larger sensor, which means if there's movement, if it's 4K is only taking up the center bit of it, you have all the extra pixels, so if there's movement it can still handle it, and also it's not having to necessarily capture the whole sensor. It can
You mean
capture
the
just a
gyroscope,
portion
right?
of it to get the resolution.
You meant the like the movement of the gyroscope.
Yeah, like the if you're
Hmm.
because if you're outside, if you're in an environment that needs HDR and you're recording video, you have high contrast and you have lots of light, but even a little, and you're probably could be moving around. It could be even be at a wedding during the day. Most likely not on a tripod, but even if you are, um, just the fact that it can take the middle section instead of the whole sensor and get that resolution out of it and get the frame rate out of it means it can do it faster, and also just having kind of the extra frames being able to maybe zoom in and out so that um they don't have to bump up the actual physical to like a 10x. They could have it a 5x and then crop in two, three, four times and still have the full resolution. Because you could, if you have an 8K sensor, you can crop in four times from 48 megapixels down to
Correct.
12 megapixels and still have extra um,
I
resolution
got
in
a
there for it.
is that's gonna be bending pixel because they have to because it's not a actual camera. You know what I mean? A actual digital camera. So they got to do something with that. I think it's gonna be bending the pixel. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong.
That for HDR, they would be binning and could use the whole sensor, but also at the same time, I was just thinking a matter of, if you have a larger sensor starting with higher resolution, just straight up being able to crop in to get down to 4K, or you crop in even further and you still have a 1080p fairly crisp image versus where you're at right now with a 12 megapixel sensor on all of them. If you crop in at all, you're going to start losing resolution.
Correct. And here's a question. I don't know if you know the answer. It says, "Was Michael, will the iPhone 14 Pro Max non-Pro have a tele lens sensor or just main wide and ultra sensor?" I'm not sure on that. I didn't did enough
Um,
research on.
I think for this year, they're just sticking to the two sensors on the non-Pro models, and maybe next year we'll see them bring in some of the stuff from like the previous Pro models, because the differentiator then could be, well, higher resolution, larger sensors for the actual people that are going to be using this as like a pro type camera, that need the low light performance, that are going to understand what having the larger actual pixels means, and other differentiators with the look of the device. I don't think they want to step and do two things at one time and then not really have enough of a differentiation and have people buying the Max over the Pro Max, if you have the same size
Yeah, that makes
battery.
sense.
Although, you're going to have different display technology, different refresh rates. There's other factors that go into that as far as like touch sense rating, and there's even technology that Apple uses as far as like the portion of the screen. They use segmentation where game developers can,
Yeah, I'm hearing a popping
like,
sound. I don't know if it's your mic.
I have no idea why it's still doing that. Let me check something.
If it, oh now,
Oh,
let me
now
see.
let me see. Let me see.
Oh, now here
Oh,
echo.
now here echo.
Yeah, that's the mic and
Okay.
audio input. Why am I not allowed to have that's my I can't use my earbuds to listen and my microphone from my iPad to at the same time, apparently.
Yeah. I got a question. Uh, we go back to the phone. What's up with the iPad OS? They're gonna delay. I thought they were gonna release it with the phones. It's not completed like it's supposed to because center stage or whatever it's called.
So basically, center stage is still having some crashing, or not center stage. Um,
Yeah, I said it wrong.
Stage manager is still having
Stage manager,
some
there you go.
crashing issues and still having stability issues and still having some things that they need to hash out. And it wouldn't be the first time that they've done a release where they've held off. I could also see them releasing it and then pushing like a 16.0.1 or a 16.1 update
Oh yeah, they
basically
did
right
that in the
away.
past days.
They, make the final version available for people that already have a device, and then they push a 16.1 update to the public. So people that are on like the betas would get a final version of 16, of course, but then hold off and push a 16.1 version to public that fixes some of the stuff, or they'll just release it. And but I don't see them releasing it if it's causing crashing problems, if apps are crashing, because if it's not the app developers, if it's just the operating system itself causing problems, which I've
Yeah, and
seen that issue.
before we go back to the actual phone, I want to talk more, but I want to talk about the last topic, and then we go back to the phone. Not last topic, but you know what I mean. The watch. What can the watch bring? Because I think in the watch, I think it has plateau. I don't know what else can you bring to the watch. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me. Yeah, minor refinements, but better battery, but that's to be expected and stuff like that. But I don't know really what else can you do to the watch.
Faster performance on stuff because there still are times where like Siri and and Siri still sometimes is quite reliant on your network speed, and
Correct,
so
but those are
offloading
minor
more and more of
refinements.
it, and um, even like apps loading faster because the faster you can get stuff like that to happen, that affects battery life because it can go into it, you can get into the app, work through it, and get out of it faster. And it's um if you have one processor where let's say an app loading uses 25% of the processing power and everything else in the background is using 50%, and you have an extra like 25% left over just for overhead, but you make the processor 5 times faster, then it can do the same thing and only use 5% of the.
Correct. But those are minor refinement because that's to be expected. Every year, the devices get a little more refinement. But outside the normal round, I don't know what else can you do because they got all the capability of health and everything. Yes, I agree with you. We're gonna get better fluidity, more fast and stuff like that. And battery may be better because of that. But I don't see it. I feel like the phones. What they did, they went to foldables. You get what I'm trying to say? I don't know if in that market of watches, smart watches, I think they plateau. For me, I could be wrong because I don't see what else they could add, and I don't know. I mean, you educate me because I really don't get it. Besides the norm of making it fast and all that, that's to be expected. But yeah, they say they were supposed to take your blood when you got sugar and stuff like that, but that's not happening no time soon. So I don't get it. What else they
Temperature
could add?
sensors, improve speed, just some of the things in general. Like for example, I've noticed the difference like with my Galaxy Watch when I check my heart rate or do ECG and do the things like that. That it takes 30 seconds on some on different like certain things take longer, but when I go to grab my Apple Watch Series 7, even in the Apple Watch, um between generations, they've made those things faster. So, instead of 30 seconds, it's 15 seconds. And now, if they can speed it up a little bit more and still have the accuracy, for some people, that's huge. Imagine that you have like tremors, and so you have issues holding still for very long. Well, it requires you to hold still for a decent amount of time. So, if you hold still for, 5 seconds, then that can help. Um,
Yeah, and
with
that's
some
why I
of
went
that.
back to my statement that those are to be expected things in the category to be expected, but outside the norm, like anything drastically, like when they put the hybrid, ECG and all that, that was a big in the actual the Series 4. Yeah, that was a big leap, but I don't see bigger stuff coming in the future. I don't, unless you get the the reading your blood and glucose monitor and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't see it. I see, yes, every year we're gonna get the faster and improvement, like you say, and you mentioned, and that'd be good for people. People say, "Wow," but other than that, I don't see the smart watch. Well, what else can they add? You know what I mean?
Maybe some of the better like background isolation for the microphones and stuff because there's people that use their watch for talking on the like when they're around their house or doing dishes or whatever, and you just have it on there. Um,
Yeah,
having
sorry to
that
interrupt
use
you.
less.
Crackling again, crackling sound.
I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and to those points, it's yeah, you could X and come back to see if that works. And to those points, I get it. They're gonna make all that fast, but outside the norm in the realm, that's what I was asking because actually that's the thing that I still think that it still need work. Let me do something quick on my phone. Okay, but I'm back. So that's the thing. Yes, all that is warranted, but it's just the norm, and that's what I was trying to try Michael Pepper understand. But I mean, to that point, that I think the Apple Watch or any smart watch has plateaued because, all right, there's a company that work with the Apple Watch and there's big bulky accessories that you could use the camera. And if you look at Nikias Molina channel, then I'll type it in. Let me do it on my phone. The name of the channel. That's not a link, but that's the name of the channel. He worked with the company, and he also a tech channel. So therefore, that's the thing. The thing is that they got the accessory, but native. They haven't done an actual camera, and they got reasons for and stuff like that. Let me go over here. What Chakrin said. I generally agree, Louis, and I'm still not so on the concept of smartwatch until the battery life improve and unless something else needed in those health sensors. Yes, correct. You understand where I'm coming from? And the battery, I'll say one thing quickly and I'll leave it for another subject. Graphene is the next step that we're hearing the rumors and people have been working on it. We've been talking in different social media, and that's the realm that's supposed to go, but it's not here right now. So we got to talk about the now. And the now, the battery's going to take a hit, and people not so because of battery life. But for me, I was able to call 911 and I was able to save somebody's life. And that's why I vouch for that. If I wouldn't have that, I didn't know where my phone was because, at that moment, you just go to help the person and you do what you got to do. I grabbed the hands, the pulse. I did everything I was supposed to due to my CPR training that I had it like 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. So I know what to do. I had the children, teenager, adult, and preteens, whatever, and I have everything, all those three training, and therefore I did what I had to do. But the thing is, I was able to save somebody's life. You never know if you get it in an accident and stuff like that. It just, for me, it got a lot of valuable stuff, and it sucks. Those things don't mean nothing if your battery is dead. It's true. And I agree what Chuck is saying. The battery's not there. You always got to be, oh, wait, I cannot use it. And or I got to cut some stuff to make the battery prolong. That's not the right way. You don't buy with the promise of being better for tomorrow. Oh, hell no. Excuse my language, but that's how I got to go. So, hey, Savage, how you doing, my brother? Salute. So, yeah, taking the tea. How you doing, brother? Um, So that was going on, and I see on that route and that aspect, what else can be done? Yes, the rumors say, oh, yeah, it's good for the diabetes people to take the blood, but I don't think that's gonna happen no time soon. I don't think it's gonna happen within the next 2 or 3 years. That's just my thing. In a battery life, I'll leave it to another subject. It's called the graphene or whatever technologies they come, but the battery life have not improved, and that's just the thing that they need to work on. And reality is that's the thing that I'm missing with the actual watches. And as much as I love mine, and I use mine when I go out all the time, I don't use it around the house. But to be honest, I mean, I was surprised because a month ago Benovi Tech asked on Twitter, "What is your battery life of your watch?" So I went on the battery life cycle, not life for the day. So how long? So I had 97. I was like, what? But I use my phone every time that I go out, and I go multiples. Yeah, if I go out and I come back for half an hour, I put it. Take it off and shut it off. I don't leave it on. Maybe that's why my battery has prolonged, and that's just. I mean, that's a shock factor, and I'm wow. But still, there's stuff and stuff like that. Well, if you want to get invited, you could put the word invite, and I'll invite you. The only thing that I ask is that you know me, and we walk for a while. And with that said, also don't forget to be part of the replay crew, and I'm gonna bring Michael Pepper back in. There you go.
I hope this is better.
Okay, cool. Are you on your tablet?
Nope.
Oh, okay. No, but before.
Before I was on my iPad, now I'm on my Mac and I'm using my different pair of earbuds and I'm using
Hmm?
my iPhone as my camera. See?
Oh, That's weird because when I'm a guest, I usually use my iPad. Usually, I don't do this setup. It's called AKA being lazy, but you know what I mean. So yeah, so outside the speed bumps, the app refresh, making the Apple Watch better and faster. That's all good and dandy, but outside of that, that's the norm for every device. No matter if it's a watch, it's a phone, it's expected to be like that. But what else can they do? Because the battery life is not there. Because as I said earlier, graphene is not there. So that's the hindering, and I don't know what else can be done to make it better. The floor is yours.
Oh, that's cool. Durability. You know,
Sure.
there's been people that complain about the fact that, they have to put some kind of uglier case on it to protect it and, keep the because of it being square. Now the thing is, having used, I've been back and forth between using my Galaxy Watch and my Apple Watch, having used round watches, square watches. I I see where like the round watch is nice because it looks like a normal watch, right? You can wear it. In some places where like they might not want you wearing a smartwatch, and you could put on a watch face that just looks like a normal watch face and could hardly tell. Apple Watch, the advantage is you have the whole screen real estate to kind of take advantage of. So you don't have to have as big of a actual watch,
Yeah,
but
true.
you have the whole space because and it's a little easier to navigate, at least in my opinion, on screen. If there's a keyboard for anything, you could have a swipe keyboard. Just reading through text, you have the whole space where like with this, you kind of get cut off where you have like a middle section that's the square and the center of the circle that's really for the easy readable. And um, I don't know, durability on things. Like I said, just faster. I mean, there's not a ton you can add. More sensors. Um,
What about the rumors of making an additional rugged watch from Apple side of things? That's what I heard. It's not gonna happen this year, but you think it's gonna happen within the next 3 or 4 years? And like another, the regular number one and the extra edition of the ruggedness, and you could buy that one if you want.
I think with what we're seeing with other companies, where for example, my Galaxy Watch 4 Classic, right? Pricing on that, you get fairly durable material, right? You get stainless steel, and the glass is fairly durable, and just the overall build without having to pay, $700-800 for like a titanium model, or having an aluminum model that's 200-300 bucks, and you pay, $200-300 more to get the durable. I think Apple is going to. I don't. The whole like $1,000 price. I don't see that they would do that. Selling an Apple
No, I
Watch
mean
for
neither.
more than your cheapest iPhone is kind of crazy to me. Even if it has,
Well,
crazy
let
material.
me say one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you. My apologies. I hate doing that, but remember the first watch? It was like I don't know how much it was gold.
That's true.
Go ahead.
The only way I could see that ever working was like if it's some LTE model and like they've put some chip in it that works with satellites and it's for like people who like need to go truly off, and it has like a massive battery capability to run as GPS for like, you know, quite a few hours. So if you're out trekking and you can't, and your phone, even if your phone's on you, but your phone loses signal, but it has all, great GPS strength in it and things like that. That's the only way I can see it potentially
No, I
costing that
agree.
much, is having some crazy new technology in it and crazy material cost. But I don't know that they would do that because why would they go so niche? Like, for example, you know, the difference
Maybe try
between
to
paying
cater,
for an iPhone.
you active light people, sport light people, stuff like that. Maybe who knows? Just try something else to see if they're gonna have the normal watches, but have that niche and maybe I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know.
Like for example, you have the regular iPhone, and then you have the Pro models, and the price difference is, will be couple $100, whatever. But you get added features, and but like they're not selling a rugged only iPhone. They're not selling like, yeah, the materials of the body of the device is different. You have, aluminum versus stainless steel for the sides of the device, and you have, um, matte and glossy finish, and you have different colors and stuff that they differentiate. But for the most part, the differentiation is refresh rate of the display and the cameras, and that's pretty much all processor. They started doing that with the 13 series. You got an extra core on the graphics side for the Pro models. But with the watch, unless it's like, oh, we're going to offer one that has more storage so you can store more music offline, and we're going to offer where it has some new type of like LTE 5G connectivity that also piggybacks off from cellular, and it's high battery efficiency, high durability. You don't have to put a case on the thing. We designed the the casing and the way it's shaped and everything so that it doesn't interfere with swipes. We've
Oh,
designed a thicker glass on more durable glass on top, but it's not so thick that it makes it so that it feels like it's definitely below a layer. It still feels like you're interacting with it. It's super bright, so if you're out in daylight, you can, um, and it can be operated underwater and like all this stuff. Like I
yeah,
could see
that's
people
true.
paying $1,000 for that. Like,
Mhm. But also, you know what I noticed now that we're talking about that, and I'm gonna just throw a general question. Remember, and back in the day, companies used to do phone, the regular and the rugged, and from Samsung and stuff like that. And now it seems that the companies are not catering to the outdoor person, the people that hike, the people that go do Mount Everest or stuff like that. They don't cater no more to that. And I was wondering, Apple never did that. It's just that I heard the rumors that in the future there could be possibility of a watch being rugged. And if it's what you say and it's warranted and you could go days and days when you're climbing or doing something, yes, you know what I mean. That's warranted because there's some people that live an extensive out there life. For example, out there life, when is that correct? And there are a lot of bloggers that are in the niche of like, oh, I'm climbing this, I'm doing this. The past, and that'll be good if that could be done. But like you say, it's just a lot of money. You know what I mean? If it costs that much amount, go ahead. The mic is yours.
I could even see for the aspect of like dispatch purposes, if they could say,
Mhm.
well, this thing is guaranteed, it will last you all day long. You can make calls on it for hours on end, and it won't be affected by temperature because we figured out a way. So imagine like you're in like Minnesota and it's like middle of winter. It gets really, really cold there, or like Alaska, you're in snow and ice and stuff, and people are climbing, and technology doesn't work well during that. So if they have some way that like something can like moderate the temperature, that could be huge. But then again, those are like niche thing. That's more niche than I would say like this device is.
Correct. And then, and to your point, that makes sense. Will Apple make that? Because we was talking in speculation and rumors, but is it feasible for them to make more money? Because companies are to grab money. Let's just be honest and stuff like that.
My
And
my
go
thing on
ahead.
that though is like if they say that and they figured out a way to prevent like the battery life breakdown that happens um with with watches when people are using them in varying temperatures and they're using calling on it constantly, and the wireless charging, and especially faster wireless charging that's gotten up. If they can prevent the heat effects that happen on batteries, the cold effects that happen on it, and sell it to somebody and be like, I can use this watch for 5, 6, 7 years. I have a condition and I need to be able to swim in it. I want to be able to hike. I want to be able to, go spend time with my family camping. I want to be able to go outside and shovel snow and snow blow and be in extremely cold temperatures, but also be in extreme heat and
Mhm.
guarantee that the thing will operate smoothly in all these conditions and that even potentially being able to operate it with like gloves on, like have a glove mode because like my Galaxy Watch, there's a mode you can enable where you can use it if you even if you have are using a glove. Like there's certain
Oh, that's nice.
so for people like that, if you're if you think about it, okay, if you're spending $400 or $500 on a watch and you're replacing it every other year, which some people do to maintain the battery life and they're using it so often and things like that or to get the newer. But if I can go from that to 5, 6 years and know that the battery life's going to be reasonable over that time, I'm going to have all the features I need. I'm going to have the reliability in all these conditions.
Yep, thank you for that, Sharky. Yep, and let's go back to the phone. I'm gonna stay 15 more minutes extra because I was late, and I want to talk more on the phone because that's the people get that more. So what you think about, like he said earlier?
Uh-oh. Lewis kicked himself off his own stream, apparently. You kicked
And I
yourself off
pressed.
your own stream.
Yes, I did. So we back, but I'm getting back to the subject because they're saying that. Let me go back to the comment if I could find it. Okay, Sharky said what? I don't know what's going on now. Oh, right here. That he believed that's going to be the best seller based on the bigger phone. So, what's you comment on that?
Yes and no. Typically the best seller is the cheapest iPhone that's out there. So like right now, even iPhone 11s are selling really well. But if you're talking about like newest generation, like the
Eric,
base model 13, just because of price, like people go in and they want an iPhone and they want the price, and um, but people who are techies who want to be away from their charger, who are like hitting the device really hard, recording video constantly, things like that are the ones that are getting the Pro Max. And then you'll have like so offering something in the middle, yeah, but I still think it's going to be like the second most popular because you're going to have still people that are going to look at the price point. And yeah, it may only be a couple dollars a month difference. But if they're like, well, they go in and let's say they go into their carrier and their carrier is like, uh, you know, 24 months at this price, or you can get the max for the same price per month, but it's 30 months. Um, Somebody might do it, but somebody also might say, well, I don't want to be locked into it that long. I want to be able to upgrade in a couple years, or I want to be able to just next year around this time it'll be half pay it off. I want to be able to pay the rest of the half off. Pay, drop
but
$500, pay it off, and go to
you
the
forgot
next
one
thing.
thing: the jump program, so you could jump early. Go ahead.
That's my point. So like, but you have to have half of it paid off. So if it's out to 30 months, you're gonna have to then pay down, put down a few $100s to have half of it. Um, you'll have people that their budget is very strict, and they want to walk in and they want to say, okay, my plan costs, maybe I'm with somebody else, maybe I'm with their parents or parent or they're on with friends, or maybe they're by themselves and their plan is 65 a month, and their phone they're limited to 35 a month. And if you do that over 24 months, you're at the price of um, you know a base model, and they want more storage, and so if they're jumping up they're going to have to pay more, and so they just will go with the regular model. Then you'll have, like I said, then you have the people that are kind of in the middle. They want the larger screen but don't need the pro cameras, don't need the higher refresh rate. So I feel like it's going to be really close. I think it might be the second best selling of the new series, and it kind of
Yeah,
depends.
that makes sense. I kind of agree because if I'm going by the research that I've done with my family, talking with them, they tend to go with the lowest. And some of them went for the E. They don't like the E, but that's all they could afford. So, yeah, I agree 100%.
And it also kind of depends because you might have, um, if the 13 Pro series sticks around, because you then might have somebody that's like, well, I can get a 13 Pro Max,
True.
discounted for $100, $200 less than it was new, and that's close to, the base model. And if the 14s have the same processor, which they're rumored, I still don't think that's true. I think it's again more in line with like that they're doing the separation like they did last year, where there was the
Mhm.
A15 Bionic, but there were two different versions of it. You had model with 4 graphics cores and one with 5, and the non-pros had the 4 and the pros had the 5. Um, but as far as memory and storage and stuff, your offerings are very similar. That's the other thing. So like you have to go to the pro models to get the higher amount of storage, but at the same time, like those are the only ones that are shooting, where people are going to be recording tons of video and really need that. Even if you have a ton of music and, download and have offline a bunch of Netflix or whatever, um, I don't think you're going to go beyond the top storage on the base. But
But
I
remember, the
think this year
regular
is going to be an
people,
interesting thing too, because you're going to
yeah,
have, because if they're doing the whole punch hole thing, you're going to have people that will buy that just because they want that. There are people that hold on their devices for 4, 5, 6 years. You might have somebody that's got a 10R like you do, or an 11, and had it since it came out, and then they just save up they buy it, they save up every month what they would have put down, and then when the
yes,
new
I'm
one
being
comes
cheap.
out, they'll drop $1,200, $1,300, 14, on a new phone. But but if you do the math on that, okay, so let's say somebody's budget's $25 a month, on top of their plan was what they could afford for their phone. Um,
True.
so what they do is they put $25 aside. That is $300 a year, and so after 4 years, they've saved up $1,200, and that's not even if they put it in like some, you know, not even if they put other money aside, or their plan goes down in cost, or you know other things. But so then after 4 years, then they drop $1,200 on a new phone, and they just repeat that process. And there's people that do that, or they buy the previous gen. You'll have people who will buy like the 13 Pro Max refurbished, Apple's website for extreme discounts. And um but yeah, I don't know, it would be interesting this year because of two changes, offering a max size phone that's not a pro model, and then having the pro model have that slight different change on the front, which I'm not sure I really even care about. Like, it's not really giving you any more screen real estate. It's not like you can use the space between that punch and the top, or between the two different punches, for anything. As a matter of fact, depending on how far down it has to be, it could end up taking up more of your screen than a notch does.
Ooh, good point,
I
my
mean, when it
brother.
went from 12 to 13 series, the notch got narrower, but it actually sticks down further. So certain content, you get like a little shaving that it sticks into it. Same thing with this. Like, I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know, there's no benefit that I can tell. Were they maybe able to make it narrower by making it and having the mechanisms actually two separate things, and were they able to actually make that whole thing narrower? And because all we're seeing is zoomed in, it could also mean that it's up a little higher. But at the same point, it's like, if they could do that, they could have just pushed it up higher yet and basically leave a notch, but have it be a smaller one, and have it be out of the. I don't know. I feel like, to me, what would be I would rather see is them either wait until they can completely remove the notch, because Samsung's developed an under display camera that can hold the quality, and
Correct.
also support Face ID and all that still, um, or leave a notch and then allow users to have like little widgets up there. Like, I always thought it would be cool where like the little ears are, to be able to swipe, and like, let's say, go from your battery percentage and your Wi-Fi signal or your cellular signal, to be able to swipe up and be like, oh, this is when it's plugged in, this is how much like the charging time is, like remaining charging time estimated, or um, where the Wi-Fi icon or your cellular icon is, you swipe up and you can see like, this is your you know megabytes per second speed connection that you're getting, and then over on the other side you could have weather. Like, actually utilizing those spots for use, I think people would be less frustrated if it wasn't just the same thing all the time. Now you get the battery percentage, but like, provide utility with it. Same thing with like, there are, on the Mac,
How
because your menu's up there, and you have there are apps that will utilize that space, and you can have a weather app up there. Um,
yeah, make it interactive.
you know,
And I agree. And the last part that I'm going to talk is I'm going to go to A15 to make up the time. What do you think is the and and I know we're talking about this segment, and I'm gonna stay with the same concept. What is the future of the watches and phones with Apple? You think, like 5 years from now? And that'll be the last thing to discuss before we leave. Think, are they going to degrade on price sales? I know the quality is going to go up, but or something drastically is going to become about. Do you think it's going to be a fruition? The rumors that we're hearing about the watch, rugged and stuff like that. I don't know. Go ahead, take it away.
graphene. Graphene batteries will be huge for battery life improvement, for and being able to offer like simultaneously faster charging, and know that it won't degrade the battery, because like, we can see the Xiaomi's and the Vivos and all these companies and Huawei that do like the fast charging, and they say, oh, we've tested it and done stuff, but most of that's simulation. And they can say,
Hmm.
oh, you know your battery health doesn't drop any faster than slower charging, or in some instances they claim, because typically the understanding is it's about 10% a year on your battery health is what they claim the average. If you were to charge like every day, that it would take about 2 years to um to to drop down to 80% or below. Now the thing is, if you can fit a higher capacity battery in there, then 80% is still a pretty high. 80% of 5,000 is 100% of 4,000. So there's that.
Hmm.
But at the same time, if you can reduce that, and some of these companies have claimed, well, ours only drops 5% a year, and you can go 4 years, um, you know, before it drops that, and that's with using 120 watt, and doing that every day, and also that's also only if you drain your battery all the way down. So when the battery lasts longer, if you think about that, if you're only charging 25% or half of it every day, it goes longer. That's why like my parents, for example, theirs were at 85% after 4.5 years. Well, they never fully killed their batteries, and they used. I mean, they were just using the charger that came with it. That was just like the 5 watt chargers or whatever.
No,
Um,
but I agree with that because you said something good. You said your parents, so therefore it depends on on the user, and I agree. And some
but
people just go ahead.
you know, if those same people are like, now, oh, this is great, I can just use this charger, and I can plug it in and top it up real quick, and I'm also getting the combination of great battery life. But if for some reason I need to use my phone to hop on a live stream, which live streaming can kill your battery really quick.
Mary,
A couple hours can kill a 13 Pro Max could be killed in a few hours on a live stream. So you're on for an hour in a Zoom call meeting, and then you just throw that device on a charger and charge it all the way up, and you know that it hasn't gotten really hot. And then the graphene technology also helps dissipate the heat while it's in use. So maybe your battery life will last longer doing those intensive things that are using the cameras and the microphones. It all adds up to your device lasting longer. Um, you know,
yeah, longevity of life. That's very important too.
and Apple doesn't. Yeah, they like you to buy new hardware, but what do they care? Because if you're holding on to a device, or if you're buying a new one, it's software and services that they're starting to make money on.
Bingo. Yep, I agree with that.
And
So yeah,
then
they'll find a way to
you'll
make them.
have the user that will hold on to these devices, right? And they'll hold on to like an iPhone for 4 or 5 years, and then their Mac, they might hold on for like even longer. You might have a Mac user that's, especially with the new ones, that might hold on to a Mac for 10 years unless something substantially changes and they need to get one sooner. Same thing with an iPad. But that same user might upgrade everything at once. You might have somebody that just like, so that they get all the new, because a lot of the features are linked, right? And yeah, that's a bad thing for some people, but at the same time, like, if you want to get all the newest features, then you buy all the newest hardware, and you know that your devices are probably updated for about the same number of years. So people go out and they'll drop, money on new iPhone, new MacBook, new iPad, all at once. And but then there's the software stuff in between. You're paying for iCloud, maybe your Apple Music, um, maybe
Mhm.
exercise stuff like Apple Health. Um, Maybe you have Apple One plan that includes everything, so you're paying
Oh yeah, too. All
25 bucks a
inclusive.
month or whatever it is, 30 bucks a month on that, and stuff adds up, and multiple
Yeah.
people.
I am Tavini just coming. Worst battery and drain the battery. Oh yeah, that's true.
What's worse, battery drain or brain? Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
You're only probably using your device for so. But that's the thing. There are a lot of people that their phone's their only device. So, like, if you can say to somebody, well, spend get the larger device because your battery life is gonna last through the day, and you're a type of person that like goes between scrolling on social media, and then maybe you're watching a ton of YouTube and Netflix throughout the day, and you're using your phone for that. That's cheaper than having to say, well, go buy an iPad to watch content because it's a larger screen, right? Well, yeah, that's another $1,000. But if you can carry one phone,
True.
even if you paid $1,500 for it, that's cheaper than buying, the cheapest, pretty much, cheapest of the newest iPhone, and an iPad that's reasonable, and some stuff like that. So that's where I see, or you have the user that just buys an iPad and they don't own an iPhone or a Mac. They.
And I have the last question before we leave. 'Cause we have 3 minutes. This is the loaded mothership. Would you think? And we're talking about just the phone and just phone and watch. We're not talking about computer, none of that. Just only that area. Would you think Apple would ever get dethroned of being the top seller in just one unit? Like is Samsung or any else gonna surpass it in the future? I'm talking about 7 years and above.
Oh,
Go ahead.
where they're on the list for like the top selling devices,
Correct. They're not there.
per
Or they're there
single.
on like number seven, number eight. You get my point. Go ahead.
But Samsung sells more devices in totality. They sell like 6 times the number of device, or like the number of devices that are sold is like way
But
higher
they
than the
make
number.
more. So you
But
see my
but they also have like 40 different versions. Um, I mean, it's happened. Xiaomi's done it a couple times where Apple's been bumped down to like 2 or 3 on the list, and Xiaomi's actually sold higher.
yeah, but I mean under five.
Um, I don't see them ever getting pushed that far down, only just because one of the things is Android manufacturers have to compete with each other. No matter what we believe, like they do have to compete with each other. There's different features, but like you know, companies are starting to offer more of those same types of things. We're seeing some of the flex mode stuff being brought to other foldable devices. We're seeing like desktop modes being on Motorola devices, and you know, Huawei's had them for a while, and Xiaomi has it on some devices, and we're seeing these features that are being brought across, and we're seeing ecosystems and stuff like that that are competing now, not in the US, but like US is, you know, represents what, 4.8% of the world's population, so we're not even really that much of a so here's the thing with that though. They they can't do what Apple can do because they have to differentiate. So if they stay too consistent year over year, you might have somebody that will just go to another company because they're like, oh, you know, I don't want to buy the same phone I already had. But then you have, because on the Android side, I would say the only user really that is gonna that like kind of the company is proven that with is Google with the Pixel, and they're a small portion of the market. On the Samsung side, Samsung, you know, up until recently, their year over year, like there was pretty good jump between devices up until like a couple years ago. You know, you had uh, display resolutions jumping in size and refresh rates jumping in size and larger devices and pen support and text mode and wireless DeX. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, DeX on tablets. Cross integration between like text messaging, being able to text from your tablet and having it, you know, on your tablet, having your text and your calls come through. You know, same thing with your watch. You can go on a Windows computer and have your phone, which now is called something else. Like their integration on stuff, but other companies have that integration as well. But the thing is, they have to compete with each other to differentiate. Apple's advantage is, and the customer that they appeal to is the person who has a 4 or 5 year old device, and that device continues to be upgraded with iOS up to a certain point. You know, you don't get all the same features. That's the downside. Where you know Samsung can push a feature all the way back to an S10 that's coming out, you know, next year on an S23, and they'll do that sometime. Now, the downside of that is then you don't necessarily have to buy a new device if you want the new feature. Apple sees that, and that some people consider that kind of a scummy behavior. At the same time, if they push a feature to an older device like that and then it doesn't perform as well, in Apple's eyes, it's like, well, that looks bad on us. So they want you to buy the new hardware, sort of. But at the same time, for a majority of users, those are niche features that only matter to a certain segment of users. But like family, like share play, the ability to FaceTime with Android links.
Oh
A lot
yeah.
of the features were pushed to older devices now. You know, Face ID with a mask wasn't. Um, but like you could use your Apple Watch to unlock your iPhone even if you had older ones, right? But the specific, like there's certain features that are hardware based because it has to do with the Face ID sensor technology that they're using, the generation that's being used. Um, but that's the differentiator is you have somebody like you who's on a 10R and you go pick up a iPhone 14 and you don't have to learn anything new. Your settings are basically in the same spot. Your you know your camera UI looks the same. There's no new learning. So you could have a 95-year-old person who maybe their first ever smartphone was an iPhone and they got it when they were 91 years old and now 4 years later. But
Yeah. Yeah. You want to read this comment?
I think one could justify the 20% higher price for Apple devices if they're going to use them 20% longer, but you'd have to sacrifice the flexibility and some power features you get with brick. Yes and no. A lot of the things are starting to balance out. Um, and believe it or not, there are a ton of Android device users that never even touch the things that would really differentiate. They don't go in and they don't put in developer mode and improve the
Hmm.
animations. They don't go in and up the refresh rate, up the resolution, um, do customizations on the home screen and lock screen even. And some people, in a way, are technically getting a poorer experience because they don't know to go in and increase those things. Where we're like, if you were to hand somebody an iPhone, they don't have to like go in and up the resolution. They don't and make it Retina resolution. They don't have to go in and turn on 120 hertz. These things are on by default. So if they're buying a device because they want that feature and they heard about it, it's there. They don't have to know the. It's the techies that matter, the differentiation between the two in reality. But as far as like a lot of the major features, what really differentiates other than and now Android OEM like Samsung and other OEMs are starting to lock in features. Certain features that like Pixel Buds only get certain features best on the Pixel. Galaxy Watch using that with a Pixel, you lose some of the health monitoring stuff. Um, 20% higher costs. That's
Oh yeah.
that's subjective. What's 20% higher? This is an $1,800 device. That's 20% higher than a $1,500 iPhone, 13 Pro Max, basically, spec'd up higher. But does
Hmm.
it? But yeah, you get multitasking and it folds and stuff. But even like S22 Ultra, um, price alignment with stuff. There isn't an S22 Ultra, smaller version of it, but you can buy an iPhone 13 Pro if you want the same features as the Pro Max and get the same cameras, but don't have to pay the full out price. Now, there's things that are shifting in the market, um, and as far as like support on stuff, Android in a way does better support on certain things because they push like app developers aren't required to necessarily support the newer
Okay, let me go back to the message.
like for like it seems about 20% higher. um it depends on what you're comparing, because
Yeah.
for example the S22 Ultra has um has the zoom stuff beyond what the 13 Pro Max has, and in some instances, depending on where you are, an iPhone costs even like more in like Europe and in some countries than it does in the
Yeah.
US,
India.
substantially higher than and you get deals on Samsung devices, but you can't consider those deals because, for example, if you pay $1,500 for a device and then you trade that in and get 1,000 for it and get another $1,500 device, that just cost you $3,000 for those two devices. So it still cost you 1,500. There's still it cost you like let's say you bought a $1,500 device, you trade it in, you get $1,000 off. So you pay another that still costs you $2,000. You still spend $1,000, when you average that out. And obviously, longer you go, if you trade in every year, you're still paying $1,000 for that's still a higher, and some of the other stuff that they throw in there. But comparatively speaking, there's also the fact that on the used market, you can go sell an older iPhone for higher than you can go. I could sell my 13 Pro. Like if I were to hop on and do that now, I could probably sell it for $100, $150 less than what it would retail for, and people would buy it, and that's not what I paid for it. Um, Android
Yeah, that's
side,
cool.
because of their deals, they start off skewed price original. I don't know. There really isn't a like for like. That's the problem. Like, what are you comparing like for like for? Like, how are you comparing like for like? For example, I can go buy a I can go buy like a 2018 iPad Pro and an older iPhone and get a similar experience, but on like the Android side, um, you kind of have to go with some of the newer tablets get if you want to get the like for like. Are you talking about higher refresh rate display with like um, a somewhat a fairly bright, this large screen, and ability to synchronize the features, you're talking about having to get. You can't buy an A series Samsung tablet and A series phone and get some of the features that would really differentiate it and give
Oh
it the
yeah.
benefits. You know, where you could kind of buy a older lower level iPhone and lower level iPad and get a lot of the same features that your iMessage and your FaceTime and your split screen features and even performance on it as far as fluidity is still going to be. So I don't know, it's the whole 20% thing. Here's the thing, I've owned way more Android devices and Windows machines than I've owned Macs. Technically, I had a Mac Mini, and then I got a MacBook Air, another MacBook Air, and my MacBook Pro. So I've owned four MacBooks since 2010, but I've owned like probably 10 Windows machines, and I've owned like over 100 Android devices. Now, some of those I don't count because it's like, you buy them for different reasons. But even before I was a techie, I was buying devices um, because
Well,
because I
this
thought
question,
that it was better value. But then the thing was like, there were certain things there were slowdowns. Yeah, it's supporting an older device, but there were certain things that started having issues and slowing down and started having problems, and so I'm upgrading every year. Um,
yeah,
I
but
was doing
let
that
me answer the
consistently
question
or
first.
less.
This question, because she said that she like Android. What she say? But so I prefer Android. Well, that's suggested. That's to the person they liking or whatever they like.
It's
My
yeah,
mom will not use an iPhone because all she learned is how to use LG a little bit and Samsung, and she's always Samsung. She like because they don't want to break the routine, but they learn. Older people are afraid of changes, and and yeah, I love Android. But what I like about Android is not like I used to love it. What I like is the software of Pixel. If that would have been in any in the form of iPhone, I would get it. And the only reason I'm sticking with iPhone because I got everything in that realm and stuff like that. And I'm already invested about 95%. I'm not supposed to get the last thing. Is the last thing is the computer, but this all comes down to preference. That's what I'm saying.
it
And
comes down to yeah, it comes down to that, and it comes down to your initial cost. So, for example,
mhm.
um, you
And this
know,
is the last thing, so I could close this because I
yeah,
don't I don't know. My battery probably is dying for my camera.
on both sides you have, if you're going through your carrier, there's not much of a difference price wise. And the whole like what you get for what you pay. Um, but on the other hand, if you're talking about like I'm gonna invest, let's say $1,000 in my phone, $1,000 in a laptop, and $1,000 in an iPad, and 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 have a really good experience, you can do that. You can get like an iPhone 13 Pro. You could get or an older one, an older iPhone. You can get an iPad Pro. You can get a MacBook Air. I'm talking about pre-tax and other accessories and stuff. But at the same time, you can go out and you could buy a Pixel 6 Pro, and you could then buy a Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Plus or Ultra, and then you could go out and. But then when you're on the laptop side, because I've compared it, I've had to spend to get battery life, to get it to be quiet, to get the performance, and you're not even getting the same performance side of things, especially when unplugged, and you're not getting the same battery. You're spending more on that, so it all depends on what your balance of things are.
Yeah,
It depends on if you're using an ecosystem. It depends if you're comparing device to device. I agree that you can go out and spend the same amount of money and get a lot more other features. But are you actually using those, or is it those features you're just going to use initially and then you stop using it? For example, there's a lot of people that use the fold, open it quite a bit, but then they find themselves as they go on further and further, 95% of the time, they're just using the front screen and not even opening it, except for maybe at night, if they're watching a movie every once in a while, but then they're at home and maybe they just cast it to their TV. Then you have other users that use it all the time, in the boat. But my thing is, it depends on, are those features that you're actually going to use, and are you the majority? No, most majority of users, there's a reason why they're buying the A-line device, because they're not using DeX. They're not using some of the added features. They're not using the
Yeah.
S Pen. They're not using um, the crazy ultra zoom stuff. They don't care. They just want a
But that
device that can
depends.
take
That depends
pictures of
on the
their
type of
family
person
that's
you
in
are.
front of them.
Hmm.
But they want,
Yeah.
and same thing with the people who buy a Pixel. They want those features for call screening, or they want the basic stuff, and they don't want all the extra stuff that you're going to pay for whether you're using it or not. And so, depending I would say on the Android side, sometimes in order to get those features to align um, with some of the stuff that you get on the iPhone side, you might pay for features that you don't use. For example, if you want to get a larger sensor, you might be paying, unless you're going to go import a device, but I'm talking about like US offered devices. Um, up until recently, you might be buying an S22 Ultra, so you're paying for DeX, so you're paying for an S Pen, but you're not going to use
Hmm.
it, and you might be paying more than you need to for those features that you're not even going to use. Where like you don't necessarily
Yeah, I
have
get
to
your point,
entirely do that on the
but
other.
I'm gonna cut it off over here because I don't know how long my battery's gonna last on my camera, and I don't want to get interrupted. But thank you for coming in. Thanks everybody for rocking with the questions. I'll see you the same time, same channel next week. Tune in. With that said, peace and love. Take care, everybody. Bye bye. Let me hit the end.